Good morning. I'd
Morning.
like to call to order the Portsmouth Port and Industrial Commission Annual Meeting for August 26, 2025. Roll call, please.
Morning, Miss Allen.
Present.
Mr. Foster.
Present.
Mr. Hanson.
Here.
Ms. McSwain.
Present.
Mr. Peterman.
Here.
Mr. Rice.
Here.
And Mr. Vera. Absent. Chair, we have a quorum.
Thank you. Yeah, before you, the minutes of the July 22nd, 2025 regular meeting. I will need a motion and a second for approval of those minutes.
So moved.
We have a motion and we have a second. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, roll call vote, please.
Mr. Foster. Yes. Mr. Hanson.
Here. Yes, sorry.
Yes.
Mr. Rice.
Yes.
Mr. Peterman.
Yes.
And Miss Allen.
Yes,
Chair, the item is approved by a vote of 6-0.
thank you. With this being the annual meeting, we have election of officers that need to take place for chair, vice chair, and treasurer. It doesn't matter what order we're doing.
I would ask that you just follow the order of the agenda as it relates to the office.
At this point, we will need a motion for chair.
I move that this character as the bring chair that you cannot say.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for current chair, myself, Angelia Allen, to remain chair. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
If I could just clarify who made the second.
Both, then I did.
Go
Either
ahead,
Mr. Hanson on that.
Thank you.
Okay.
Hearing no discussion, roll call vote, please.
Mr. Foster? Yes. Mr. Hanson?
Yes.
Ms. McSwain?
Yes.
Mr. Rice?
Yes.
Mr. Peterman? Yes. And Ms. Allen?
Yes. Thank you. I appreciate it. Our next item is vice chair. I would like to nominate Keith Rice as vice chair of the Portsmouth Port and Industrial Commission.
I'll second.
You have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Mr. Foster? Yes. Mr. Hanson?
Yes.
Ms. McSwain?
Yes.
Mr. Rice?
Yes.
Mr. Peterman? Yes. Ms. Allen?
Yeah. Thank you. We have, we need a motion and a second, a nomination for treasurer. Nominate Arnett McSwain as treasurer.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Mr. Foster? Yes. Mr. Hanson?
Yes.
Ms. McSwain?
Yes.
Mr. Rice?
Yes.
Mr. Peterman? Yes. And Ms. Allen?
Yeah,
And was approved by a vote of 6-0.
thank you. Moving forward, we have our financials, our quarterly financial report for June 2025. Good morning, Ms. Pope.
Good morning. This morning, I will be presenting the fourth quarter for fiscal year ending June 2025. I just want to make note that these numbers may change as we are in the middle of the audit, so they may or may not change. So for fourth quarter ending June 30th, we ended the quarter with around $892,000 in cash, $856,000 in grants receivable. We ended the quarter with 3 properties with a value of $685,000, giving us a total asset value of $2.4 million. We also had 856 in the grants payable, which matches the AR. So when the money comes in, it's going to go out. And we ended the quarter with $1.1 in liabilities, giving us a total net position of 1.26 million, which is a increase of 305,000 from last June 30. This report right here is our statement of revenues, expenses, and change in that position. We ended the fiscal year with 400,000 in operating revenues, 25,000 in expenses. We paid out 93,000 in grants, and we earned 20,000 in interest income from the cash we kept in the bank. Again, our total net position at the end of the year was 1.26 million. The next report is the budget actual report, which shows what we budgeted and what we actually did. And again, we had an increase of 305,000 from last year. This report right here is our interest income. It shows by month, and at the end of the year, again, we accumulated 20,000 in interest income. This final report, it just shows the AR that I mentioned on the first two reports, the 856,000 for the courthouse community grant that we're still waiting on to come in and pay out. Any questions?
Any questions for Ms. Pope? Hearing none, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Moving on to old business, we have our Port of Virginia update. Good morning, Chris.
Ms. Allen, thank you. Morning to PIC. Councilman, good morning. It's a pleasure to be here. My remarks are brief, but first want to just commend City of Portsmouth for a wonderful National Night Out event a few weeks ago. I know the Port Police were happy to be able to partake and join that event. And from the pictures I saw, it looked to be a real success. So I commend the city for taking part in doing that. And we're always happy to support those type of community activities. So thank you for that. Port-wise, we are in the midst of our peak season, and so that is our busy time of the year. Probably due to some factors in the overall economy. I think it was an early peak season is what we're feeling. The volume probably for this holiday season has already begun to arrive. In sequence or during the same time, we are still working on some significant projects. You hear us talk about a $1.4 billion capital improvement program. Some of those big projects are kind of concluding at this point, one being dredging. So we're real excited on the progress being made on deepening and widening the Hampton Roads Harbor and the channel into VIG in NIT. And so that's coming along and should be completed here in this current calendar year of 2025. As you've heard me say, PMT construction has been completed. And that's exciting because obviously it doesn't seem that a day goes by and you don't see either a new tower being stood up there at PMT or more product for the Seabow project arriving via vessel or going out via vessel. So that's really terrific. And then finally, Norfolk International Terminals. We continue to work on that project, the North NIT optimization. And in that project, we're also doing some crane replacements. So operationally, we're having to, move some services around, and it's been pretty nice to see that VIG, Enforcement, Virginia National Gateway, just how well it's performing. I've seen an uptick in just daily activity is strong over at VIG. Some of that's a result of carriers being shifted over to VIG for the time being while we're doing some improvements there at NIT. But really, what the story is that system, the terminal operation is able to handle the increase of daily activity. So we're real happy to see that. And like I said, it was sort of an earlier peak season, but yeah, we still see some weeks in front of us that will have a lot of cargo activity flowing through our ports. And I'm happy to answer any questions. I'll leave my comments there.
Any questions for Mr. Dawson? None, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Virginia Port Authority Quarterly Board Meeting, Commissioner Foster.
Yeah, Chris touched on most of it, but as he said, PMT is now 100% complete and all components are on the ground at PMT right now for the wind farm project. There are some new cranes coming to the port around September 29th, which will then make the NIT South have 2 ultra-large container berths. BIG have 2 ultra-large container berths, and will then eventually 1 ultra-large container berth at North NIT. And right now they're holding a 90% turnaround in 1 hour, under 1 hour time for containers. And that was about what Brian touched on, and then I think Pete's going to touch on some more of the PMT wind farm project.
Moving on to an update on.
Yeah, is that
Sure, yeah, I just didn't want to jump in. Good morning, everybody. Just to give an update on CVAL, that project continues to steam along full speed ahead. Obviously you see all the blades and the nacelles and the tower sections. You'll see the south section. You obviously see the tower sections coming up. And the transition pieces that play, PMT is getting chock full, right? So now the effort is to try to optimize space. We have continuing to see at least 4 ships a week coming in delivering components, as well as you obviously see the Orion coming in about once every 8 to 10 days to get a fresh load of monopiles to take them out to the project. So all of that is going on schedule. We're slightly ahead of schedule. I think there are obvious headwinds that everybody's seen in the media recently. Number one of which has been, or really the first headwind we've had is the tariff changes, right? That has added a great deal of expense to the project, which Dominion didn't foresee. So it's still moving along, but there's debate to be had on how that's going to play out longer term. And then obviously the big news is the current administration shutting down the Revolution Wind project up north of us. So obviously we have concerns for that. We know nothing at this point on whether CVAL is gonna see a shutdown. Dominion has not made any public comment. In my business, our general off the record conversations have been, we're going to move forward as if we're just fine. The governor's office has made no public comment. We've always had very robust support from the governor's office for the project, so I don't expect that to change. Without getting into any political comments, I think there is a good relationship between the Virginia administration and the president's office, and so I think that's going to help in terms of telling the story and keeping us on track. I think I don't foresee anything happening right away, but anything could happen. So I guess the only other hot pieces are going on right now are that I guess the other point I'll make about shutdown is I think the Revolution Wind project was partially owned and operated by Ørsted, which is a Danish company, right? CVAL is U.S. owned and operated, right? It's Dominion is a Fortune 500 company. So I think that also works in our favor in terms of getting CVAL across the finish line. So something to consider. Charybdis is in sea trials in Brownsville, Texas. She is the Dominion's U.S. built Jones Act compliant construction vessel. I think that's also a big win for the project. That's why politically it looks good. The president's motive of revitalizing shipbuilding and revitalizing the U.S. maritime industry. Charybdis is a U.S. built, U.S. owned and operated vessel, and so I think that again that's a political win in terms of getting CVAL across the finish line. So Charybdis is in sea trials right now in Brownsville, Texas. We expect her to join the project in late fall, at which time so Orion will continue to drill monopiles, and then Charybdis will begin assembling components. That would be transition pieces, tower sections, nacelles, and blades. So that's what I do.
Thank you. That was very informative. Okay, on to an update in regards to American Cruise Line. Charlie?
Yes, ma'am. We have been working with American Cruise Lines, as we've mentioned previously, sort of on a dual track basis. One is to put in place a formal operating agreement between the city and the company so that we can assure ourselves of continued port calls by that company, which they're very interested in doing. And in fact, maybe even a consideration of bringing, another vessel in during these port calls. So, we're working through the, language of that agreement, but a big part of it is finalizing how we put in place a permanent, water and sewer access for the vessels when they do come alongside the promenade. So they don't have to use temporary water hookups or bring in a truck to, discard waste. So we're in the process of working with our utility department, and gathering the facts. We'll probably need to hire an outside engineering firm to finalize how that can be done. And once we get our arms around what those numbers might be, then we'll reach an agreement with the cruise line and go forward with the improvements. So that's an exciting opportunity. I think we've got, starting in the fall and all through 26, over 25 calls by these vessels coming up. So it's a pretty significant occurrence for us in the cruise business. So we're looking forward to that bright spot along our waterfront. DeLong Agricultural Transloading Facility. We're working closely with DeLong and our internal counterparts in zoning, permitting, so that we can ensure that DeLong follows as closely as they can their intended construction schedule and completion sometime in 26 so they can get operational. So we've convened a working group with the DeLong engineers, us and our zoning folks to move through that process as expeditiously as we can. We'll keep you posted.
Hey, Charlie, what kind of timeline are you working towards with the American Cruise Line?
In terms of what?
Being done or starting?
You mean the project?
Yes.
Oh, we expect that sometime this fall we'll finalize. And the agreement should follow shortly after that,
So this fall,
subject to council approval.
so you're talking about like October or November or December of this year?
Well, they'll continue their calls.
No, but I'm talking about being ready for them to make this their permanent home port or base of operation.
I would say this fall sometime.
Okay.
Any other questions, comments, concerns?
I just add to the American Cruise Line conversation.
Absolutely.
There has been expression of interest, I think, by others on the commission about having an opportunity to perhaps tour one of the ships on there in Portsmouth. When they begin visiting in October again, we'll work to coordinate a visit to allow you each to have an opportunity to tour the ship. It's quite impressive. We've seen it docking, I think, over the last year or two, but it's really quite an experience once you step foot on board. So we'll make sure that you have the opportunity to participate in providing information for them.
Thank you. Hey, new business?
Chair, we have no new business items. Be closed.
Can I have a new business? Can I suggest that we have Councilman Hugo present the results of his junket to North Carolina?
Yeah, we're gonna do that during the item submitted by commissioners.
Okay.
We do have a need to go into closed meeting. Mr. Peterman, would you read the closed meeting motion, please?
I move to go into a closed meeting pursuant to Virginia Code subsection 2.2-3711 A.3 for the purpose of discussing the disposition of real property where discussions in an open meeting would adversely affect the bargaining position or negotiating strategy of the public body, specifically regarding 3920 and 3930 Burgess Point Road.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Mr. Foster,
Yes.
Mr. Hanson,
Yes.
Ms. McSwain.
Yes.
Mr. Wright.
Yes.
Peterman,
Yes.
and Ms. Allen.
Yeah,
By a vote of 6-0.
we are now in closed session.
I hereby move that each commissioner certify to the best of his or her knowledge, one, that only public business matters lawfully exempted from the open meeting requirements under the Virginia Freedom of Information Act, and two, only such public business matters as were identified in the motion by which the closed meeting was convened or heard, discussed, or considered in the closed meeting just concluded.
I have a motion, may I have a second?
Second.
You have a motion and a second, any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Mr. Foster,
Yes.
Mr. Hanson,
Yes.
Ms. McSwain, Mr. Rice,
Yes.
Peterman.
Yes.
And Ms. Allen.
Yes.
It is approved by a vote of 6-0. We're now back in an open meeting.
We have before us a resolution in regards to 3920, 3930 Burton's Point Road. Mr. Miller, would you read that resolution, please?
Yes, ma'am. Whereas PPIC entered into a purchase and sale agreement with SFG Properties LLC for the sale and development of 3920 to 3930 Burton's Point Road. Whereas as a result of environmental and soil issues that must be addressed on the property, the developer anticipates expending over $4 million in unanticipated development costs, including for underground stormwater detention, importing over 65,000 cubic yards of soil, and installing a vapor mitigation system. Whereas the developer has accordingly requested a reduction of the purchase price to $600,000. Whereas PPIC has reviewed the request, the environmental and soil documentation has determined the request is reasonable. Whereas a portion of the property has been in public ownership for approximately a decade and the remainder of the property has been in public ownership for multiple decades. Whereas the developer intends to construct an industrial building of approximately 182,000 square feet, and the sale and development of the property will provide tax revenue to the city. Now therefore is hereby resolved that one, the chair and vice chair are each authorized to execute an amendment to the agreement, which A, reduces the purchase price to $600,000, and B, limits the developer's use of the property to the construction operation of the proposed development. Two, the chair, vice chair, secretary, and their designees are each hereby authorized to take such further actions and execute such further applications, documents, and instruments, including without limitation amendments to the agreement and deed conveying the property and related closing documents, as may be necessary or desirable in furtherance of the conveyance of the property to the developer in accordance with the agreement, as the same may be amended from time to time. This resolution shall be effective immediately upon its adoption.
Okay, we have a resolution before us. I need a motion for acceptance and a second.
So moved.
Second. We have a motion and a second for acceptance of this resolution. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Foster,
Yes.
Mr. Hanson,
Yes.
Ms. McSwain,
Yes.
Mr. Rice,
Yes.
Mr. Peterman,
Yes.
and Ms. Allen.
Yeah,
Chair, the item is approved by a vote of 6-0.
thank you. Items submitted by commissioners. Mr. Peterman.
Yes, I'd like to suggest that Councilman Hugel brief us on his trip to.
Good morning, Madam Chair.
Good morning, Councilman.
So a little background. Probably a year plus ago, the Economic Development Authority had a report out from a consultant on our waterfront development. During those discussions, we tumbled to looking for lessons learned on how to do waterfront and downtown development. During that discussion, several of us discovered the Greenville, South Carolina story. So Greenville, South Carolina has been in the process of rejuvenating their downtown for the last 3 decades, and it's quite a story. In fact, they published a book called Reimagining Greenville, and the EDA all got copies, the city council all got copies, because there was a lot embedded in the Greenville story that we felt was applicable to the challenges that are in front of us here in Portsmouth. So that's the background. So for, I don't know, more than a year, we've been talking about taking a trip with city leadership to Greenville to actually see what it is that they've done. We finally got to do that trip this past week. There were 19 leaders from Portsmouth, the mayor and 3 city council folks, 3 folks from the Economic Development Authority, city manager, and several folks from his staff, including Director Donahue, and Old Town Business Association and Portsmouth Partnership were also represented on the trip. So 19 of us traveled. We met with their city manager. We did a walking tour with their mayor. We met with a couple of folks from their city council, and we met with folks from their regional economic development, kind of like our Hampton Roads Alliance. They have something similar. I would say the trip was eye-opening for us, just to see what the possibilities are and connect those to what's going on in our downtown, and to understand that we're really not so far away from being able to do some of the things that Greenville has done. Some highlights from each of those. So from the city manager, she shared that while they worked to bring new developers into Greenville, it was also important to them to take care of the folks that had already decided to make Greenville their home. In fact, she shared that they were about to reopen a business in town where the city invested $250,000 in facade upgrade. So eye-opening to the EDA, I think, and also to City Council, because EDA offers up to $25,000 for our businesses to do facility improvements. Greenville, town of 78,000 compared to our 97,000, what was offering 10x what we've offered to do facade improvements. And so I think the city manager's takeaway was, I got to dig into how they're generating their revenues and parsing their revenues, because they're punching above their weight, was the city manager's comment, our city manager's comment. Additionally, both the city manager and the mayor spoke to the importance in Greenville of public-private partnerships. When we think public-private, at least when I think public-private partnerships, I'm thinking tens of millions of dollars of development. And while they've done that kind of public-private partnership, they've also done public-private partnership where the city put up $100,000. And it was geared toward infrastructure improvement that would then kind of seal the deal for the developer to make the decision to bring their business to Greenville instead of taking it someplace else. The walking tour with the mayor was very interesting. We got there Tuesday night and we walked the main street ourselves. A lot of people out walking, clean, lots of greenery. The place was landscaped and manicured. So when we walked the next day with the mayor, he shared with us kind of how they got all of that started, and basically said the key from their perspective was to get people downtown. And the way they got people downtown was in the old buildings that have shops on the ground floor and a second story. They turned that second story into residences, and that attracted people to move into downtown, and just getting a critical mass of people living downtown has helped to spark the need to provide for safety, the need to provide for clean sidewalks. And I mean, they power wash their sidewalks. They power wash where the cars park on their main street. Okay, so that's kind of the cleanliness and kind of caretaking that we're talking about there in Greenville. And so you think about our downtown, and so we have shops with an opportunity, and in a lot of cases, residences upstairs, figuring out how we leverage that. And then as we move into waterfront development at the Holiday Inn site, waterfront development in the city complex, it just kind of validates the direction that the city and EDA are headed, which is mixed use, commercial on the ground floor and an opportunity to bring people into downtown in the floors above the ground floor. We spent a little bit of time with the regional folks talking about workforce development. Interestingly, in that regard, their story is more like Danville than it is like Portsmouth, in that they had textile industry, they had tobacco industry, and both of those businesses imploded. And so they had a large workforce that was working in both of those that were skilled tradespeople. And so they retrained them to go to work in the BMW factory that they attracted into Greenville County. So on the way in, we passed the BMW factory, we passed the Michelin factory, and the regional folks shared with us that they're recently were awarded a new Isuzu factory. So again, differently than us, we don't have the land for attracting those kind of businesses. But the fact is, we have businesses that provide jobs. We have the maritime industry all around us that provides very similar jobs to the full-time with benefits jobs available in those factories. So there are a lot of parallels that we saw, but importantly, I think what we saw was, hey, this place is not so different from us. We have work to do, but we came back with a lot of ideas on how to tinker with the discussions we've had on the link, discussions about what we need to do with our downtown, and yeah, so that's a good summary. I guess the other thing I'll share with you. Last night at the city council work session, the EDA did their annual report to city council like you all did a couple of months ago. And so they talked about the work that the EDA is doing around waterfront development, around link development, around entertainment district development in the vicinity of the casino. And then we rolled into a conversation around takeaways from the Greenville trip, since there were 3 EDA members on that trip with us. And so if you have an hour to spare, get on online and watch that, and you get a pretty good sense of where the EDA thinking is as we're moving forward, and how maybe that EDA thinking dovetails into the kinds of discussions that you all are having around how do we do waterfront development in collaboration with EDA, and then where does our industrial, particularly our maritime industrial development, fit in terms of creating job opportunities, the need for training opportunities, but also revenue and really tax revenue generation, so that the city can afford to do some of those things that we saw Greenville doing. So happy to answer any questions.
I have a couple of questions.
Sure.
The homeless population, did they congregate in the downtown corridor there as they do here? And what was the discussion around that?
Yeah, so we asked the city manager and the mayor both. City manager indicated that the homeless problem in Greenville was probably their most significant problem still. The hotel that we stayed in was a 100-year-old hotel that when they started this renaissance, the initial intention was to bulldoze the place. Instead, they got a developer in who spruced the place up, and it was a very nice hotel right next door to City Hall. On the front steps of City Hall, when we went out to take a walk the first night, there was a encampment set up by a homeless person right on the front portico going into City Hall, and so it's an issue for them. Similarly to the issue for us, except other than the encampment on City Hall steps, we didn't see a lot of homeless along the main street. And so they're working to address that. They have what they call the Greenville Housing Fund that was startup funding from City Council and that they're using to invest in bringing affordable housing as well as other development, but primarily affordable housing to address the housing question. But as we know, there are some folks that are homeless not because they are out of down on their luck. They're homeless because they want to be homeless.
And my other question is, was there any correlation to the type of businesses that they have in their downtown corridor versus the types of businesses that we have in our downtown corridor?
So the kinds of businesses that we saw are similar to the kinds of businesses that we have, but there were no empty storefronts. I mean, walk down our high street and there's, windows that are papered over, and places that have been sitting vacant and empty, waiting for us to find businesses to bring in. There were hundreds of restaurants in downtown Greenville. I mean, we had choices upon choices just within a couple of block walk from the hotel that we stayed at, which was right on their main street. The mayor told our mayor, so if you want to get the retail community going, find woman businesses. What did he mean by that? Shoe stores. I mean, not to be sexist, but catering to women, because
Shop.
so that was the mayor's point. And you want to get shoppers down here, find things that women will want to come and shop for, and get those into your stores, and you will get shoppers into your main street. So again, some takeaways for us. How do we address the empty storefronts? How do we address signage? How do we address just the cleanliness to make the walkability of our main street warm and friendly, like we felt walking. I mean, they have a landscaping architect that every block they have laid out with a landscape architect, and they have implemented landscaping as well as just big trees. And so what we saw at dinner, sitting out on the sidewalk cafe, people my age strolling hand in hand down the main street sidewalks. So these were not people in a hurry to get someplace. They were just out for a walk. We've talked about our waterfront and the opportunity that we have to create a place to go for a nice summer evening stroll. We talked about some of the challenges in our waterfront compared to theirs. Their river is a pretty small river, but they put walking trails and bicycle trails all along the river to attract people to come and stroll along their river. Our river, we got a very nice waterfront that has no shade, and it's hotter than blue blazes out there in the middle of the summertime. So there are things as we go to do our waterfront development that we can take aboard from some of the things that we saw that they did to try to improve the walkability, the strollability of our downtown.
Curious to know if Greenville has any competition for downtown other downtown locales close by compared to Norfolk Portsmouth.
Yeah, so good question. Well, so the city is 78,000. During the daytime, during the week, the population in the city swells to double that. Okay, 150,000 people in their downtown. Why? Because they're not in the middle of a Hampton Roads. there in the middle of Greenville County, and people from all around come into the city to do their business. So there were some differences. Again, there were more parallels in some cases to Danville's situation. And by the way, Danville traveled to Greenville more than a decade ago and are in the process of implementing what they learned. So you don't have to go all the way to Greenville. You can go to Danville and kind of see what this looks like, partially finished. Yeah, so in that regard, different from Portsmouth, where, we share our boundaries with other key cities. I mean, that they had something like 30 hotels in Greenville. We don't have room for 30 hotels in Portsmouth, but the fact is we have, hotels right across the river in downtown Norfolk and kind of all around us, Virginia Beach. So there were some differences that we just have to account for.
Any other questions, comments? Thank you. That's good information. Report back.
Chair, we don't have any other updates. I think we've covered everything on your agenda, so no report backs, please.
All right, well, we have made it through our agenda. We'll see you next month. This meeting is adjourned. Have a great day.